All right, everyone, get ready because on this deep dive, we are diving headfirst into the wild world of GWAR,
That's right.
specifically their landmark album,
Yeah.
Scumdogs of the Universe.
One of the greats.
This is the album that spawned 1,000 latex nightmares.
Let me tell you, you're going to need like a industrial strength poncho to weather this sonic storm.
Yeah.
We are going deep into the guts of this album,
Sure.
like picking apart the lyrics, figuring out what makes it tick and why it still resonates with so many people after all these
We're
years.
talking about a band that makes like Slipknot look like a church choir.
Oh, yeah, right.
They're intense.
The costumes, the gore, the riffs that could melt your face. It's a lot.
It's a lot to take in for sure.
And the best part is we have like a mountain of genius lyrics pages to guide us.
Oh, which is amazing because we get to see what the fans think too.
Yeah, it's like we're peeking into a mosh pit, but like from the safety of our own headphones.
Exactly.
But don't worry, it's going to get plenty wild in here too.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Mhm.
Okay, so before we unleash the Scumdogs on everybody, for those who might be new to this whole thing who are GWAR,
Okay.
what's the deal with the costumes and everything?
So imagine like a pack of intergalactic barbarians, right? All dressed up like they just got rejected from a Star Wars cantina,
Oh, wow.
crash landing on Earth with one goal: to enslave humanity and unleash utter chaos.
Oh, that sounds about right.
That's GWAR in a nutshell.
Pretty much.
Musically, they're like if you put thrash metal and punk in a blender and just hit the puree button.
Yeah, and just like gallons of fake blood and other bodily fluids that I don't even want to know what they are.
You and me both.
Yeah, I've heard their live shows are
Oh, there's something else.
an experience.
Definitely an experience.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. GWAR is not just about shock value, right? They're masters of satire.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they use their crazy stage personas and their music to deliver these, like, really smart and biting social commentaries.
It's pretty impressive.
And Scumdogs of the Universe, that's them at their best.
Scumdogs is considered by a lot of people to be their most successful album, for sure.
Absolutely.
The one that really blew them up and solidified their fan base.
Definitely.
So what makes it their magnum opus? What's the secret sauce here?
Well, it's a few things all coming together at once.
Okay.
First of all, this album marked a change in their sound.
It did.
Yeah, they started out as more hardcore punk, but with Scumdogs, they leaned into a much heavier, thrashier sound.
The less Ramones, more Slayer.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here's the really brilliant part. They didn't totally ditch that raw punk energy.
Right.
Like, take a song like Maggots, for example.
Okay.
The tempos cranked up, the riffs are pure thrash metal.
Yeah.
But that underlying punk attitude, it's still there, like spitting venom in every verse.
So it's like a musical evolution, not a complete, like, 180.
Exactly.
And, this is where having these genius lyrics is so helpful.
I agree.
Like, I was reading some of the comments from fans, and you can really tell that people were picking up on those subtle shifts in the music.
Oh, for sure.
But it's not just the sound, is it?
No, it's not.
Scumdogs is also where they really started building out the whole GWAR mythology.
100%. Right. This is where those iconic characters like Slymaster Hyman and the Sexecutioner,
Yeah,
they really came into their own.
totally.
And these weren't just random stage names. They became like central to GWAR's whole thing.
Yeah.
Their shows, their album art, their mythology.
Right.
We're talking backstories, interband rivalries, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, wow.
And get this, even the album booklet was part of the act.
No way, really?
Oh, yeah. It had all these fake edits and notes from this, like, made-up moral crusader named Edna P. Grambo,
Oh, my gosh.
who was supposedly, like, completely appalled by the lyrics. It's hilarious.
Oh, man. I bet they were trolling concerned parents before trolling was even a thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, they knew they were going to push some buttons, and they just went all in.
They push every button they could find.
Yeah, they did. But we'll save that whole story about their run-in with censorship for another deep dive.
Good idea.
Right now, we've got some songs to dissect.
I'm ready.
Let's carve this thing up and see what juicy lyrical bits we can pull out.
Let's do it.
All right, so let's crack this album open like a beer volcano at a GWAR show, and
Let's do it.
let's dig into some of these tracks.
Yeah, let's get messy.
All right, first up, we've got Sick of You.
Oh, yeah.
Arguably the GWAR anthem, right?
If you only know one GWAR song, this is probably the one.
If you only know one, this is it.
It's got it all.
I was looking at the Genius lyrics for this one,
Yeah.
and apparently it's their most performed song ever.
Really?
Which makes sense because it's just got that raw energy that, like,
Oh, yeah.
gets the crowd going.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a big, angry middle finger pointed at the world.
At the world, at your neighbor.
Everything.
Everything.
All right, track 2, Maggots.
Here we go.
The title alone should tell you what you're in for.
Buckle up.
So we were talking about that thrash influence earlier,
You were?
and you really hear it in this one.
Oh, yeah.
Like, those riffs are relentless.
Absolutely relentless.
It's like a horde of metal insects, like, swarming in your ears.
That's one way to put it.
And the lyrics, well, they're not for the faint of heart.
No, they are not.
Let's just say it's 3 minutes of pure, unadulterated...
Maggot-themed mayhem.
Maggot mayhem, exactly.
It's a lot.
It really is a lot.
But there's something kind of poetic about it, too, don't you think?
Yeah, actually, when you put it that way.
Like that line, "Beneath a sky of maggots I walked, until those maggots began to drop." It's like Edgar Allan Poe if he was a roadie for GWAR.
And talk about unexpected twists. This is where we get Danielle's stamp.
Oh, yeah.
Akko Slymenster-Hyman lending her vocals to this track.
Her voice is incredible.
Right, like you've got this operatic voice just soaring over this.
Over all the mayhem.
This maelstrom of thrash metal. It's amazing.
It's really something.
Speaking of unexpected, let's talk about Black and Huge.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
This track is a prime example of GWAR's, let's just say, no-holds-barred approach to songwriting.
You could say that again.
The inspiration for the song came from well, let's just say an educational film that the lead singer happened to see.
An educational film.
Yeah, we'll just go with that.
Yeah, right. And, of course, he explained the whole thing on Genius Lyrics, because where else are you going to tell that story?
Only on Genius Lyrics.
But the thing about Black and Huge, and really a lot of GWAR's music,
Yeah.
is that underneath all the, like, crazy humor and the outrageous imagery,
Right.
there's often like a really sharp layer of social commentary.
It's like they're using absurdity to make you think about things you wouldn't normally think about.
Exactly. Like this song, it's playing with all these taboos about race and sexuality.
It's definitely provocative.
It is, for sure. But it also makes you stop and think, like, why are these things taboo in the first place?
That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, last track we're going to dissect, and it's a doozy. Slaughterama.
Ah, yes. The song where their manager, Sleazy P. Martini,
Oh.
a character in GWAR's elaborate mythology who somehow manages to be even sleazier than the rest of them.
It's a tough competition.
He decides to grab the mic and,
What could go wrong?
yeah, what could go wrong?
This song is like GWAR's theatrical satire at its finest.
It's true.
It's basically a game show where people get brutally murdered based on their social group.
So, like, nerds, jocks, politicians, you name it.
Everybody's fair game.
It's as ridiculous and gruesome as it sounds.
Oh, yeah.
It's like if Stephen King wrote an episode of The Price is Right.
That's perfect.
And I gotta say, the Genius Lyrics comments on this one are pure gold.
Oh, I bet.
Like people debating the rules of the Slaughterama, trying to figure out which social group would actually win.
It's amazing.
So we've got musical evolution, we've got lyrical mayhem, we've got characters. So over the top, they make Spinal Tap look subtle.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. What's the final verdict on Scumdogs? Why does it still matter after all these years?
Well, like we've been saying, it's a culmination of everything.
Okay.
It's a band finding their voice, pushing boundaries, and just having a hell of a lot of fun doing it.
It shows.
It's an album that just refuses to be ignored.
And it definitely gets a reaction.
Oh, absolutely, whether it's laughter disgust or a head-banging frenzy.
And this is really just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to GWAR.
Oh, yeah, just the first bloody footprint in a long and strange trip.
That's an understatement. So we spent all this time getting splattered with GWAR,
Yeah.
covered in the glorious mess of Scumdogs of the universe.
It's a wild ride.
But for those out there who are ready for more GWAR,
Oh, there's always more.
where do we even go from here?
Whoa.
What other, like, sonic atrocities are waiting for us?
That's the beauty of GWAR, right? You've got this whole galaxy of musical mayhem to explore.
That's true.
But if you're looking for that same, like, thrashy, punky, satirical brilliance
Yeah.
that we got on Scumdogs,
Right.
their next album, America Must Be Destroyed.
Okay.
It's a pretty logical next step.
Logical because it's the next album, or?
Well, there's that.
Okay.
But it really does build on what they started with Scumdogs.
Okay, cool.
Like, they crank up the social commentary even more,
Right.
take the sound in even weirder directions.
I like it.
And plus, it's got that soon-to-be legendary track, Ham on the Bone, on it.
All right, you had me at ham on the bone.
It was something else.
But GWAR's not just about studio albums, are they?
No way.
You were talking about their live shows earlier.
Oh, man.
What kind of carnage are we talking about here?
Imagine, like, a heavy metal circus,
Okay.
but designed by someone who just graduated art school
Right?
with a lifetime supply of pyrotechnics and fake blood.
Of course.
It's loud, it's messy, and you will leave questioning everything.
So basically, exactly what you'd expect from a band called GWAR.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's amazing how they've kept up this level of, like, chaotic energy for decades.
I know, it's incredible.
Like, the music scene has changed so much since Scumdogs came out.
Oh, yeah.
But GWAR's still out there doing their thing.
That's because they're the real deal.
Yeah.
They've never tried to be anything other than GWAR.
Right.
And I think people really respect that.
They do.
In a world that's so obsessed with being perfect and predictable,
Totally.
GWAR is like this big, messy middle finger to all of that.
It's kind of refreshing, actually.
It is.
And you know, it's worth pointing out that GWAR has a history
Oh, yeah.
that's as wild and weird as their music.
That's an understatement.
Right. They've had lineup changes, tragedies, triumphs.
It's a whole saga.
It really is like digging into their story is like peeling back the layers of a blood-soaked onion.
And every layer is just as pungent as the last.
So true.
But I think that's part of what makes them so fascinating, right?
It is.
You learn about the actual people behind those masks.
Yeah.
Their talents, their struggles, the creative energy they poured into this whole thing.
Right. Like it adds a whole other level to how you see their music.
Exactly. And then you've got the fans. GWAR fans are a breed apart. There's this real sense of community there.
That's cool.
Like a shared love for the absurd, the theatrical, just the completely ridiculous.
They're ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's beautiful, man.
It is. It's great. So what have we learned today?
What did I learn?
GWAR's Scumdogs of the Universe. It's not just an album.
No, it's not.
It's a statement.
It is.
It's a wild and hilarious
Oh, yeah.
and surprisingly insightful journey into this band that just defies categorization.
They really do.
And it's really just the beginning.
The tip of the iceberg.
If you're out there thinking about diving into their next album,
Do it.
braving one of their legendary live shows,
Highly recommend it.
or just digging into the band's history,
Yeah, there's so much to discover.
the GWAR universe is out there waiting.
It's waiting for you.
Just maybe bring a raincoat
And some goggles.
and maybe like a hazmat suit,
Good idea.
just to be safe.
Better safe than sorry.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the gloriously grotesque world of GWAR.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, stay weird, everybody.
Stay with